In the previous session, we saw the plan, the brief outline for taking up the computation work in the drug designing techniques. I gave a few slides in which you had the flowchart also that helped execute the OK functions and other molecular descriptors. Here you will see the next part of the session in which I'll tell you now what are the basic aspects that is required for every good drug designing. First part a chemist to do is the optimization. That forms part of the designing a molecule. Okay. Let me tell you that one way of action of drug is your molecule goes and sits on the macromolecule. It blocks certain receptors such as beta blockers or angiotensin converting enzyme. Certain receptors are blocked. That is one way of the action of drug. Another action of drug is there are a few molecules which carry lone pair of electrons. These lone pair of electrons, including free radicals, actually give a kind of physical shock to bacteria and even certain viruses. They dismantle that. So that way the bacteria dies and patient recovers. That is one thing. But the second most important thing is we should know the structure of that virus or the receptor where the drug goes and sits. For example, there are certain bacteria that feed on folic acid. Folic acid is an essential part of food. Okay. When in fever, these bacteria take up folic acid and multiply. So in that case, one should not take folic acid. That is vitamins, multivitamin tablets. If you are suffering from fever, the doctor never prescribes you the multivitamin. The reason is it may supply the essential food, folic acid, to the bacteria. So you have to cut that. After that recovery of the fever, after recovery of fever only, you have to give multivitamin to the patients. Before that, you should not give. Okay. So we need to know the structure. For that, we take the support of the X-ray, which is very essential. There are about 300 techniques in X-ray, including the X-ray photoelectron spectroscopy that you are going to see in the next semester. What I want to say is the technique has so much advanced that we have to reach up to that. The next is the NMR. These two things actually establish the crystalline structure. Okay, but it takes time, so we switch over to the computational methods. Okay, where we take the support of the statistics, thermodynamics, etc. And using the empirical relationship and molecular dynamic simulations, we get what we require is the data. So data is, it's a kind of not only confined to computationals, but also for the chemist also. Over the 6 months of your semester, you sit down, you note down certain points, you get information in each class, and you add them up. Finally, you are able to answer some certain complex questions and try to solve them. Okay. So look at how molecular structure is presented. This is the basic 2D structure you have seen. Okay. Using certain softwares, the software basics that we have seen, including Chemcraft or Chemdra. They use certain index known as connection tables or connectivity index. and also use the support of Graph3 to develop a software that converts 2D into 3D. 2D into 3D. So this part is something what we have seen at the beginning of the session called as the programming language in the C, Python, and Fortran languages. Later it converts them into these two things. So you can see the brief molecular formula, molecular structure, 3-dimensional structure, and a 4-dimensional structure. Here the fourth 3-dimension you have X, Y, Z axis. And the fourth dimension you have here the electrostatic potential. This shows how far it can reach. Here is that. Okay. And then we need to have the smiles. This is also important and forms part of your syllabus. You need to understand, even if you don't know the entire structure, writing, you should know the concept of that. Okay. So here is one example of ochratoxin A binding to serum albumin. It's a protein. And there are at least 6 binding sites. The binding site is the molecule comes like this. This is our ligand. We call it as the ligand, or you call it as the drug, or more roughly your medicine. And more chemically, it's a chromophore. I'm sorry, pharmacophore. Right? So this particular is one of the enzyme, like you have seen for ACE2, the COVID enzyme, angiotensin converting enzyme 2 receptor on which the COVID virus sits. Similar, it has a structure like this. So here there are 2 metal ions shown, zinc. Now it is for this reason, bioinorganic chemistry is also very essential. And in our food intake, we also take selenium, zinc, iron, and in cases some cases magnesium, manganese. All these elements, they help binding the receptors. I mean, binding the ligands. Ligand is a general name. It may be a drug or it may be something essential for us. Okay, beta blockers are there. We just go and sit there and block the production of certain enzymes. Once that is blocked, for example, adrenaline is a heart beating enzyme. So you should know the structure of this adrenaline or where it is produced. If it is known, you can simply block this. So who will know the structure? Only a person who is well versed with the chemistry. So look at this: human serum albumin searching for an ochratoxin A antagonist. Antagonist is something against or stopping agent. So it should bind more strongly than an operating. What should bind? Your drug. Because if the drug doesn't bind there, it has no action at all. It is like a sort of lock and key mechanism. If the key is not proper, the lock will not open. If the key is proper, you can block it, you can lock it and unlock it. So we need to know the structure of these particular things, in the 3-dimensional manner. Okay, this is how tailor-made molecule. Okay, they should bind less strongly than endogenous ligands such as bilirubin. Okay, should show little or no bilirubin. So you just, these are certain points that we need to remember. And then what is this? This is the biological activity, minimum inhibitory concentration I showed. Okay, so once this is known, we shall see what happens in the next class. Okay, remember the Ramachandran plot, what we did in the Ramachandran plot. We had phi and psi angles, and we were looking into the conformers. This is a structure like this. Okay, what has happened here, at every point of time or at every point of your drug that goes and sit there, it has been moved in a particular direction. Today molecule shake panna mari, and that different. See how many lines are there? You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and about 100 lines will be there. Okay, the drug that goes there, you know, all our molecules are vibrating. The vibration is about 10 power 6 times per second, at least 1 million times at STP, normal temperature and pressure. So when it once inside the body, when they have a sufficient temperature, the drug vibrates, and it actually does what it has to do. So in the computers, what we do is we just change the angles here, this angle, this angle, this angle, or this angle, and even this angle. After changing the angle, we find out what is the delta H or the delta S, that final delta H. If you have higher energy, that means it has binded. Okay, it has binded, and that's a very good ligand. That is how you conclude. Okay. So every time you move a molecule, the energy changes. Thermodynamically, the energy changes thermodynamically. So we are measuring it using computational methods in thermodynamical things. Okay, this is an important factor. It is often asked in all pharmaceutical companies where you go for interview or in search of some jobs. Okay, they will have a database. Okay, for example, if you go to Lupin Laboratories, you know, they manufacture cephalosporin, or you can ciprofloxacin. It's a kind of contract. What is a kind of contract? Suppose a company in USA requires about 1 lakh kilogram of the drug. They don't find the industries there. They find very good industries in India. They approach Indian pharmaceutical company. They ask us to prepare, and we prepare them. We will always have R&D and production lab. In that particular lab, we will have a molecular database of what is being produced. What is that molecule about, and what are all its properties, where it can be extracted, how it can be decomposed. All this will constitute a database. That will be the job of something who is connected with R&D lab. Whereas a production chemist will take care of the production of those things. Okay. So what you prepare in the laboratory, for example, a nitration of benzene, you just prepare it about 5 grams. If you have to prepare it about 500 kg, it's a large scale data analysis. Therefore, in that manner, industrial chemistry is different. Industrial chemistry is entirely different. Okay, why? It's a large scale preparation, and its parameters are all different, and then after the techniques which is done by the production chemist, it's the job of the scientist chemist to know the molecular properties and the descriptors. Descriptors must be very well known in any pharma industry. This is, I am telling about present day pharmaceutical industries, whatever it is, Biocon or Lupin Laboratories or Sandoz Chemicals, whatever it is. They just look into that. Okay. And then how you estimate the absorption, distribution, metabolism, excretion, and toxicity, ADMET properties. Okay. How much it is absorbed, how much it is distributed, how much it is metabolized, how much it is excreted, how much it is toxic. All this estimation, you have to do it in a lab. You will do it. Most of you will be going to the pharmaceutical industry, will be very doing it. Okay. If you have a knowledge of computational chemistry, it will become very easier for you. That is the one of the best bet I am going to make with you. Okay. Then navigation in chemistry space, this is what we call it as the literature. You should have a wide literature survey. And then virtual screening. Virtual means it is not real. What is virtual screening? Suppose if your drug is something like this, NO2, you just make an R here, keep changing the R equal to H, R equal to OH, R equal to NS2, etc. And then do the screening, do the property measurement that you call it as the screening, and then support for high throughput screening. This is very advanced, you don't go for that. And then support for computational chemistry and molecular optimization. இதெல்லாம் கண்டிப்பா பார்ப்பாங்க. இதெல்லாம் because you have a very good knowledge of computational chemistry, it will become very easier for you. Now the literature part, is the size of chemistry space. You should see that it has got about 3.5 crore molecules. Okay, this is called as the chemical abstract. You have to go and look into the chemical abstract index. Suppose if you are owner of this pharmaceutical company gives you your molecule, the first thing you have to look is chemical abstract index. You have to go to that. It is available in many laboratories like IIT Chennai and Indian Institute of Science. Chemical abstract index, and then search if the molecule has been reported or not. If it is reported, you are going to look into other properties. If it is not reported, you have to see how you can prepare the derivatives and prepare. Vogel's book of organic quality analysis is very useful there. I have seen every lab keeping that book for reference and preparations. Okay, and then out of these, PepChem is a science, is a website data which has got about almost 19 million compounds compared to 30. And then 36 million compounds in the chemical structure lookup, like for example, E molecules. Around 5 lakh molecules are known for the biological activity. You can go to pdb.org and find them out. It's a very good website, and very large number of virtual molecules chemistry space is available. It's a multi-dimensional data processing center. To understand, it is characterized by physicochemical global molecules properties like log P, polar surface area, and substructural papers like fragments, fingerprints, pharmacophores, scaffolds. Fragments, what do you do in mass spectra? Fragment. How does the fragmentation take place? The fragmentation depends on the nature of the molecule. And you say base peak, base plus M peak, M plus dot peak, all those peaks. Those are all the fragments. Fragments are always dependent on the nature of the molecule that you have there. Fingerprints, fingerprints is like Woodward-Hoffmann rule that you have used in the spectroscopy. You add a pharmacophore, you get a different spectra. Same thing is happening with the fingerprinting of some keto group or some aldehyde group when you add them. So here is a place where you are working using the entire knowledge of the chemistry. Let's see what you have here in the representation for caffeine. And here is this is a representation for caffeine. You can see that it has a molecular formula like that, and then you have Smil's character like that, and then you have Inchai character, and then you have the structural presentation, and then you have connectivity index. எது எப்படி கனெக்ட் ஆயிருக்கு, எது எங்கே போகுது அப்படின்னு சொல்லி இந்த மேத்தமெட்டிக்கல் ஒரு மேட்ரிக்ஸ் டைப் இருக்கு இல்லையா. I have to tell you why matrix are being used, but I'll tell you when you meet in person what is the use of the matrix, why we avoid matrix and when it has to be used. Okay, so this is the common name, these are the synonyms, this is the empirical formula, this is IUPAC name, this is chemical abstract index registry number, this is the BLN notation, this is SMILE, this is INCHI, this is marker structure, this is connection table, and this is fragmentation code, this is fingerprint, and this is hash code. You get an idea what is happening there? These are all the things which is required for any simple caffeine molecule which we find in tea and coffee. So out of this, only 2 or 3 we don't require this. This is not needed for us. It's not needed for us. We can with this, and this. How to write name and then connectivity, fragmentation code and fingerprinting region. And then after drawing that, we have to look into the orbitals. The orbitals, the orbitals are psi values or Hagen values. We have already seen how the values are present by set of wave function, and each molecule has got hundreds of orbitals. So you have to find out which orbital is free for accommodation of extra or other reactive species. Orbital symmetries are considered rather than just sigma or pi orbitals. Okay. Suppose if I ask you, chlorine is having, this is a sigma bond, right? Chlorine is having a sigma bond, and chlorine does not have a pi bond. Pi bond irukka idella? It doesn't have a pi bond. Okay. But what I find is chlorine is having a pi. Chlorine is behaving some strange property. It has got certain Coulombic property of electronic repulsion, which matches with the pi electron property. So I say chlorine has an electron with pi symmetry. Right? This is a new concept. இதுக்கு முன்னாடி பை பண்டெல்லாம் எங்கே பார்த்துருக்கோம்? பென்சீன் ரிங்ல இல்லைன்னா அரோமேட்டிக்ஸ்ல இல்லைன்னா அன்சாச்சுரேட்டட் காம்பவுண்ட்ல மேல உள்ள பாண்ட் எல்லாம் டபுள் பாண்ட் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிருக்கோம். இப்போ எப்படி இருக்கு? குளோரின் ஆட்டம்ல டபுள் பாண்டே கிடையாது, பை எலக்ட்ரானே கிடையாது. பட் நீங்க என்ன சொல்ல வரீங்கன்னா அதுல எலக்ட்ரான்ஸ் வித் பை சிமெட்ரி இஸ் தேர் அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. ஓகே, இட் இஸ் குவிட் சிமிலர் டு வாட் யூ சே ஹைட்ரஜன் has got only 1s electron, but I say hydrogen is having 1d electron. So hydrogen d electron ka illa, but that electron for certain amount of time is behaving in the manner in which the d electrons we have, transition metal electrons eppadi behave pandranga, they form the complex, they have absorption, they have got magnetic properties. Okay, hydrogen is found to behave in a strange manner at the 1d orbital. You can call it as the orthohydrogen or parahydrogen or whatever it is, nascent hydrogen, so many hydrogens, activated hydrogen, electrolytic hydrogen, like that we have changed the properties. Okay, after this finding out the properties of the electron, just by telling you that the 1s hydrogen is behaving like 1d for hydrogen, you will be able to plot the MO diagrams. Once you plot the MO diagrams, you will see where the electron distribution is there. So here, basically you have very good empty space. Empty space, and this happens to be LUMO. This happens to be HOMO. என்ன இது எம்டி ஸ்பேஸ் இருக்கு, இந்த கேப் கூட குறைச்சலா இருக்கு அப்படின்னா இந்த எலக்ட்ரான் வந்து ஈஸிலி எக்ஸைட்டட் பண்ணும். Excitation is by another way you can transfer the charge. That is what is mentioned here. Okay, charge transfer is possible Charge transfer is followed by transfer of electrons from one orbital to another orbital, essentially within the same molecule or non-essentially within some other molecule. That is followed by a release of certain wavelength in the visible spectrum, which by virtue of which it becomes colorful. Hydrogen is a colorless gas, but certain passing through certain electric field or magnetic field, it may give some colors, and that you can attribute to some d electron. If somebody says hydrogen has got 1 d electron, he is not wrong. He is right, because the s electron not only behaves like s electron, but for a fraction of times it behaves like a p electron and it behaves like a d electron. That is the concept that computational chemistry has plot. He is able to plot so many orbitals, and we just are able to find out why this weird property of these two things. Okay, suppose this is one calculated system in which you have silicon at the center. It is attached to 3 fluorine atoms, and it has got a CS symmetry according to the group theory. You can find that this is a plane. Okay, if they were plane, the shaded portion. Because you have a plane, you must see how many other atoms are also in plane. You can see that this is extending to same plane, same plane, same plane, same plane. But therefore this F2 and F3 is not equal to F1. Why? F1 is out of plane. Planeல இருக்கறனால இருக்குது இந்த எலக்ட்ரான் இது வரைக்கும் வரலாம், இந்த எலக்ட்ரான் இது வரைக்கும் வரலாம், இந்த எலக்ட்ரான் சிலிக்கான் போலாம். சிலிக்கான் போன உடனே உங்களுக்கு லாட் ஆஃப் பிடி ஆர்பிட்டல்ஸ் இருக்கும், நிறைய ஸ்பேஸ் இருக்கும். நிறைய ஸ்பேஸ் இருந்தா உங்களுக்கு ரியாக்டிவிட்டி அதிகம், பேண்ட் கேப் நிறைய இருக்கும், நல்லா இருக்கும். ரைட்? இப்போ இது வரைக்கும் வர எலக்ட்ரான் அப்படியே இதுக்கு பாஸ் ஆகிடும், குளோரினுக்கு இதுக்கு போகாது. It will not go to F1. Why? Because it is bent. Bent தான் இப்படி நாங்க shaded portionல போட்டோம். Shaded portionனா கீழே போயிடுச்சு. So இந்த பிளேன்ல இருக்கிற மட்டும் F2, F3 மட்டும் இதுல இருந்து சார்ஜ் அப்படி டிஸ்ட்ரிபியூட் ஆகும், இதுக்கு போகாது, F1க்கு போகாது. ஏன்? F1 கீழே இருக்கு. So that is why you can see that F1 is having a bond length of 1.597, but these two are having a bond length of about 1.595. And these two, while having a tetrahedral angle, is having an angle of about 113 degrees. Change in the angle is also there. So as a result of that, while planar fluorine atoms have got minus 0.358 charge, the non-planar is having 0.349. So 358 normal, 349 is out of plane. Look at this. This is a chemically calculated thing. So this kind of property you have to execute first for your molecule. Find out the entire charges. Most people calculate all the charges, investigate charges, loading charges, and nice field charges, all these things. Okay. So I'm just concluding today's session with the basics that we have to do. Input a molecular structure. In some cases, electronic configuration need to be known. Other than in some cases, in all cases, I would suggest you should know the electronic configuration. And then 3 basic type of calculations we do. It's called as the single point geometry 1, geometry observation 2, frequency calculation 3. Then interpret the data. For every molecule that is given to you, single point geometry means this will not change any bond length. Dihedral angle. இதுவே சேஞ்ச் பண்ணாத அப்படியே ஜியோமெட்ரி. optimize panni kodutana. Okay. Then in the geometry optimization, what you do is you change everything. Change everything and find out the geometry. In the frequency calculation, usually we call it as the Hessian Hess method. Okay, it gives you an IR data of the frequency. Frequency means it should not have any imaginary frequency. Every frequency should be real. It supports the IR spectra. This suggests that the molecule, important point is, molecule is not in நீங்க ஸ்டடி பண்ணக்கூடிய மாலிகுல் கிரவுண்ட் ஸ்டேட்ல இருக்கு அப்படின்னு சொல்லி கன்ஃபார்ம் பண்றதுக்கு தான் ஃப்ரீக்வன்சி கால்குலேஷன். ஃப்ரீக்வன்சி கால்குலேஷன் ஈக்குவல் டு h ஈக்குவல் டு மைனஸ் k mu டைபோல் மொமெண்ட் இருக்கு இல்லையா, அந்த பேசிஸ்ல வச்சு இட் இஸ் கால்குலேட். ஓகே, ஸோ திஸ் இஸ் தி லாஸ்ட் பார்ட் ஆஃப் அவர் செஷன் டுடே. And what we see in the geometry calculation is compared with the previous things that I have shown. It's the bond angle, bond length, and diagonal angle that we have already seen. Experimental measurement also taken up, and then we can solve the Schrodinger equations of atoms and many small molecules with the chemical accuracy. Energy by approximately 1 kilocalorie per mole. Very, very important point. So much accurate. Okay. Ionization potential by 1.2 kilohertz. Vibration frequency within this. Okay. So how do we do it? It is called as the perturbation theory. We pretend that an electron does not interact individually with the electron, but only with an average electronic. Average or all space. So Hartree-Fock model is the actual model. Actual model le eppadi irukku, electron inge irukum, idu 1 electron irukum, 2 oda electron interact agum, 3 oda electron. But how do we actually see? It is seen as average over space. The distribution over space is seen. This is the tools that are used in drug discovery: optimization of structure, molecular geometry, energy of the molecule, chemical reactivity, QSAR, property prediction, and then the molecular mechanics, semi-empirical methods, quantum mechanics, mode of interaction, covalent as well as non-covalent interaction. Covalent means it is bonding between two atoms. Non-covalent means electrostatic, van der Waals, hydrophobic, even hydrogen. Today they look into only the non-covalent interactions very much. These are the applications. Strong data is generated through experiments or from molecular simulation, retrieval of chemical structure from chemical database, software libraries, prediction of physical, chemical, and biological properties of chemical compounds, elucidation of structure of compound based on spectroscopic data. 3. Structure, substructure, similarity, diversity of chemical database. HTPS, HTS, high throughput screening is integration technology, where you use laboratory automation, assay technology, microplate based biological things to quickly screen the compounds. This is not for us. Okay, this is, and then this is for us, where we use the docking and interaction between two macromolecules or interaction between macromolecule and ligand, which is also a drug, which is also a pharmacophore. That is the basic forms of all these things in drug discovery. Molecular science, material science, food science, chemistry, polychemistry. This is not needed. Okay. So in this class we have seen how we just need a particular structure, how we need to know the macromolecule. It is very important that to find out a drug to find out the drug discovery. Macromolecule structure is very important. Unless the macromolecule structure is known, the drug cannot be designed. So that is the first thing they do after a disease outbreaks is find out the place where the bacteria or as virus goes and sits. Where it sits, we call it as a macromolecule. It's definitely a macromolecule. It's like a huge molecule. We find out the structure using X-ray and NMR spectroscopy, and then find out the interactive surfaces like polar surfaces, non-polar surfaces, and then do the computation calculation by calculating the frequency and find out that it is not a transition state, it's a stable state, and then find out the number of orbitals that are freely available for electron transportation. If these are not freely available, it's a very stable molecule. And then finally we prepare different derivatives and find out which is having the highest release of the energy. The higher the energy release, the greater is the interaction. Thank you for listening to my speech. If you have any doubt, you can